What you gonna do when it all comes back to the place that you never wanted it to come back to? And where you gonna roll when the bottom drops out and you got no place to go? Who you gonna trust when trust is a must? You better roll with the rest of us. So pack your bags and all the faith you can, cause it's about ready to hit the fan. Come to the ready. 2012 brought about the re-election of an antichrist. Come to the ready.
Good evening. My name is Pierce Kibbe, and I'm the owner and founder for Practics Inc., a veteran-owned business located here in Lakeland, Florida. This is now going to be the third video of the Situational Awareness, or 6 domains of Situational Awareness video series that we've been working on. Again, this is going to be part 3. The first one started out with establishing the baseline of your environment and understanding that you're looking for anomalies and groups of anomalies. Not just one thing. You're looking for what isn't happening that should be happening, or what is happening that shouldn't be, right? And then you're looking at kinesics. So kinesics was that next day, okay? And with that, what do we focus on? Well, kinesics is body language, right? You're focusing on what's dominant versus non-dominant, what shows uncomfortable versus comfortable, and what shows interested versus non-interested, and different clues of body language. Things that most of you have already been exposed to over a long period of time, but now you're actually taking that time to stop and think, right? And we use that acronym of STOP, S-T-O-P. S stood for stop, T for think, O for observe, and P for plan. So that brings us into the next video of this series, and that was biometric cues. So as a reminder, again, this is the 6 domains of situational awareness. This is my contact information. Again, my name is Pierce Kibbe. My Practics Inc. is my business, and our motto is making tactical practical. So, what are the 6 domains? Like I said, we touched about the baseline. Then we went into the first one, which was kinesics. Right now we're working on the actual biometric cues, right? So, started up there at the top. Well, actually, we started there in the middle with baseline. Then went with the kinesics. Next is going to be biometric cues, followed by proxemics, geographics, iconography, and atmospherics. So what are biometric cues? Well, they're a term used to describe the human body's uncontrollable and automatic biological responses to stress. What does that mean? Well, you know, I've got this little cartoon up here. Like I said, this is usually a presentation that I do live in front of an audience. And it's just talking about spy versus spy. For those of you that do remember that show or not, I don't know. But just a funny little clip about, you know, have you ever worked for a foreign agency and it's one of the spies, because they were always against each other. But moving on. So what are biometric cues? They're those uncontrollable responses that our body does without thinking about it, right? So what do we naturally do under stress? Well, the majority of us, we just naturally start to breathe more rapidly. We start to maybe get more flushed in the face as that limbic system response kicks in, and it's you know, flooding our system with blood to get it prepared to do fight, flight, flee, or as we talked about, posture or submit. Remember, posturing is we're making ourselves larger. We're talking louder to try to get the other individual to back down. We're closing that distance, right? As opposed to submitting is we're not making eye contact. We're kind of hunching our body over, you know, looking down, trying to appear smaller, right? And of course, there's the flee or the fight. So, what are some things that we already know what to look for? Well, anger. What are things that you start to look for when somebody's angry? That they cannot control because it's automatic, okay? Again, the flushed face, the tensing of the muscles, especially in the neck area. The fists are typically going to be also clenched, right? Frustration. What is it that you've ever noticed when you're frustrated? You know, how does your body respond? Well, again, you're going to have some of the similar responses with that frustration, possibly that heavy breathing, right? Because you're starting to get frustrated, maybe angry, okay, or annoyed, or whatever it is. What else are you going to have with frustration? You might have that blood rushing to the face again, because again, that blood is rushing and you're just getting really frustrated with everything going on. Maybe you're just talking to yourself and just pacing back and forth, right? Because you're just frustrated. Like we are our own worst critic. You know, many people can harass us and call us different things, but realistically, if you take the time and you go look in the mirror, you're probably your own worst critic, because you'll go, I can't believe that you missed that question. I can't believe you didn't answer that correctly, right? What about disappointment? Disappointment, when you think about it, something that, you know, you don't really want to talk with people. You're going to look a little bit dejected, right, with the body language. Well, what about those the biometric cues? They can vary a little bit, but you have an idea of what you're going to experience or what others will experience when you've got that disappointment. Anticipation. What's something that somebody might do when you're anticipating something? Maybe a little bit nervous, maybe twitchy, moving your fingers, not even thinking about it. Again, breathing heavy, because a little bit excited, right? And of course, part of that can be fear. And that anticipation, hopefully when it comes to thinking about like a kid for Christmas, whether it's yourself or your own kids that you've seen, how do they act? They're restless, you know, they're excitable, you know, a lot of times they just got a lot of energy, right? So those are things, those anomalies that you're looking for. You're looking for somebody with those biometric cues of showing anger. You're looking for clues of frustration, clues of disappointment, clues of anticipation. What about regret? You know, regret, you got disappointment. Some of those can cross those same lines, but look at somebody's face. They're not going to be smiling. The facial muscles and all that are more going to be like a frown, dejected. Their breathing can be slow, depending on who they are. But a lot of it is body language too, not just the biometric side of it, but it's body language and interpreting, the fact that we're looking for those clusters, that we're looking for those groups. So when we're looking at the kinesics and the body language, and not only do we see the body language of the posturing or the bullying or the loud speaking, but now we start to notice, of course, that the face is getting flushed. You know, there's veins standing out, right? Or anticipation. Now, a lot of times you can see this as an airport, something where somebody's maybe uncomfortable. Or a boat, maybe somebody's never been on a cruise ship or something like that, or even just a deep sea fishing boat or something like that. You're going to get somebody that can be a little bit anticipation. They're going to have that anticipation, right? They can be nervous, they could be pacing around if they're not used to it. And you're trying to figure out where their norm is. And remember, a lot of this is pretty flexible. You can have somebody that's going to be showing some signs of anger and some signs of anticipation, because their body's experiencing some of the same signs and symptoms, but it's how they're showing it and they're not realizing. You know, you're going to see that emotions are seen, they're felt before they're actually talked about or anything like that. So when you're looking at somebody that's experiencing those emotions, you're going to see it a lot of times on their face. And again, like I talked about, micro expressions, that's the area where this really comes into play. And to be honest, even with my training and experience over the years in executive protection in different areas, that is not something that I've ever had any formal training in, is the micro expressions. There is training out there in different things, and you can always look into it. But really just focus on if somebody's sweating heavily, if they are breathing heavily, if they are pacing around, nervously glancing around, you know, feeling like, oh, somebody's looking at me, they know that I did something wrong. You know, think about if you ever did anything wrong as a kid and you kept being afraid that you were going to get found out. Like you changed that grade on that test or something like that, or on your report card, right? So again, all these come into those groups, those clusters that you're looking for, those anomalies that don't fit the baseline. The next video we're going to go into will be proxemics, but like I said, my name is Pierce Kibbe. I'm the founder and chief instructor for Ractix Inc. And if you have any questions or concerns or suggestions, please feel free to share them in the comments. Like I said, not only am I a student, I'm also an instructor, and vice versa. So we can only learn, and hopefully we learn from others that have more experience, especially if you have experience in the micro expressions, if you've got some knowledge or some resources to share. That would be great. Anyways, remember, Proverbs 22:3, New Living Translation says, "The prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences." Which one are you?